The last morning of Pompeii looked almost completely normal. People were working, shops were open, food was being prepared, and the streets were busy with everyday life. Nobody knew that the city was about to disappear. Because above Pompeii stood Mount Vesuvius, and in 79 AD, that volcano was about to change everything. Pompeii was a prosperous Roman city in southern Italy, near the Bay of Naples. Thousands of people lived there. It had markets, restaurants, public baths, temples, private homes, and an enormous amphitheater. For the people who lived there, Pompeii wasn't an ancient ruin. It was simply home. But the city had already experienced a warning. In 62 AD, a powerful earthquake damaged much of Pompeii. Buildings were badly affected, and repairs continued for years. Smaller earthquakes were also reported afterward, but people rebuilt, businesses reopened, and life continued. 17 years later, Vesuvius erupted. The exact date is still debated. Ancient evidence traditionally points to August 24th, 79 AD. But archaeological discoveries have led researchers to suggest the eruption may have happened later in the year. The date remains uncertain. The eruption itself does not. Vesuvius suddenly released an enormous column of ash, pumice, and volcanic gas high into the sky. From across the Bay of Naples, Pliny the Younger watched the cloud rise. He later described its shape as resembling a pine tree. But in Pompeii, the eruption was no distant spectacle. Volcanic material was beginning to fall directly onto the city. At first, pumice covered the streets. The pieces were relatively light, but they kept falling. Hour after hour, the layer became deeper. Roofs began collapsing under the weight. Some people tried to escape. Others stayed inside their homes, hoping the eruption would end. We don't know exactly what every person did, but archaeological evidence shows that many people managed to leave the city while others remained behind. Then the eruption became even more dangerous. The huge column above Vesuvius began to collapse. Hot mixtures of volcanic gas, ash, and debris started moving rapidly down the volcano. These are known as pyroclastic currents. They could travel extremely fast and reach temperatures capable of causing catastrophic damage. At Pompeii, successive waves of volcanic material swept through the city. Buildings were buried, streets disappeared, and people who had remained in the city had almost no chance of escaping the final stages. Pompeii was being sealed beneath the volcano. But this is where the story takes an unexpected turn. The eruption destroyed Pompeii, yet it also preserved it. Ash and volcanic material buried buildings, rooms, shops, streets, and objects beneath the surface. Paintings survived, tools survived, food survived, writing survived, and even traces of the people who lived there remained. Instead of disappearing completely over the centuries, Pompeii was sealed away from them. For almost 2,000 years, the city remained hidden. Empires rose and disappeared. Languages changed. The Roman world itself became ancient history. But underneath the ground, Pompeii was still there. When archaeologists began uncovering the city, they found something extraordinary. Not just monuments, not just temples, but ordinary life. A bakery, a shop counter, a painted wall, a household object, a piece of writing. Small details that showed how ordinary Romans actually lived. And that is what makes Pompeii so important. It doesn't only tell us how the city was destroyed, it tells us how the people inside it lived. And that's why Pompeii still feels strangely alive. Because beneath the ash, we didn't just find a ruined city, we found a moment in time.